Town manager talk, a visit to the water pollution control facility, and the whole Cape is still buzzing about the bear on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Thursday, May 31st, 2012. I'm Sarah Colvin. Numbers are being crunched and terms are being negotiated as the town manager contract subcommittee works on the details of the 2-year contract recently offered to acting town manager Tom Lynch. Council President Fred Chirigotis says the contract will begin on June 17th.
Last meeting we voted to extend a contract to Tom Lynch for 2 years. There is a committee that is working on drafting and negotiating a contract with Tom Lynch to to set the finances on that. That's, to me, that is very important and exciting because it creates within the town stability, within our employees, it creates stability within the department heads. It allows us to continue moving on stable fashion in a positive direction, and I think that's really, really exciting.
Chirigotis tells us he anticipates a contract will be ready for a council vote in time for the next meeting.
One of the things that needs to be considered that a lot of people hadn't thought of is that when you look for a new town manager and a new administration, you're basically telling every department head that you have that their job they may very well need to look around for some stability in their own job, because you bring in a new chief executive and he may want his own people in their spot. So it creates a lot of uncertainty, which is very difficult. And in a time like this, I don't think it was really necessary. I think we have very good people in our town, and we'd like to maintain all of them.
Town Council meets again on June 7th at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall hearing room. Precinct 3 Town Councilor Michael Hersey took a tour of the water pollution control facility with acting town manager Tom Lynch, DPW Director Mark Ells, and water pollution control supervisor Peter Doyle on Wednesday. Hersey told us why he feels it's important to tour the plant.
Well, I thought it was important to get an idea of exactly how the facility works, based on the fact that we've been asked in the past to fund increased sewer capacity, and to get a first-hand look at the facility and to get knowledge from the Director of Public Works, Mark, and Peter, who runs the facility here. So I thought it was important to get that knowledge before we're asked to vote on. From college, I had a small background on tertiary treatment plants, so I had the basic idea of how they operated. It was interesting to note that the facility runs at slightly less than 50% capacity, and and I can tell you when it was built in the 70s and 80s, there used to be an odor issue, and as we're standing amongst it right now, there really isn't.
I mean, in terms of the whole importance of clean water, wastewater here, really in the town of Barnstable and also in Precinct 3, obviously something that's a very important issue to you, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the new pump station is right in front of the High West School. That was an issue, that was done in anticipation of sewering out by Wequacket Lake and the Centerville areas and that whole thing, which hasn't been supported. But after hearing the tour today, and there is some capacity coming down from the high school and stuff like that, so instead of having to have all that go all the way down to South Street and then get pumped back to here, they'll pump it up Lincoln Road now and cut off a couple miles. So I think in the short run that makes sense. In the long run, when ultimately, if it does get sewered, the western part of the town, that'll be an important piece of the puzzle.
The water pollution control facility is in Hyannis along Burses Way. The Department of Public Works is crafting its water management plan. On Monday, the Citizens Advisory Committee and Cape Cod Commission will hold a joint meeting and public hearing. The public will have a chance to hear that plan and weigh in. The meeting takes place Monday evening at DPW headquarters, 382 Falmouth Road at 7 p.m. The comprehensive water management plan can be viewed online at town.barnstable.ma.us. Well, the Cape is certainly abuzz with the news of black bear sightings spreading across the region. The bear was first seen in Sandwich early Sunday, and then Barnstable, and now Yarmouth and Dennis. Barnstable's animal control officer, Charlie Lewis, says this sighting is extremely rare.
In all the years I've been here myself, 60 plus now, when I was a youngster and talking about different issues of wildlife, it was always deer. There was never a mention of a bear at all. And even talking to my grandparents when they were alive, they never saw a bear either. So it certainly is interesting.
Lewis says it is possible the bear arrived on Cape Cod by swimming through the Cape Cod Canal.
The bear is a very powerful swimmer, could make that stretch across. If they went in at one point, the way the canal is shaped, even with the current, all they had to do would be just go across a little bit, and the current would carry it over to the landing on the other side. My theory is that it probably came by the Heron Run, because there was an awful lot of striped bass, and there's been a lot of mackerel in the canal, so it certainly would make sense that the feeding opportunity was there.
Lewis tells us that this black bear does not pose an immediate threat to people.
What we're going to find is as soon as this bear sees a person, it's going to disappear. It's going to run the other way. The only conflict I can see is that it might run into traffic because of that. Be very important to kind of stand your ground somewhat and back away, not to turn and run. Very, very important with any type of species out there, whether it be wildlife and or a dog, domestic dog. The other big thing would be to, not necessarily have any food in your hand. If you do, just, back away very quickly, but not run. And I always tell everyone to turn sideways so that whatever animal it is can still see you.
Some have raised concerns about the safety of the bear itself. Lewis tells us that public safety officials will not harm the animal.
Obviously, there is a black bear population in the state here, and it's growing, and it is a protected species. There is a hunting season on them, so anyone that would try to dispatch them without proper authority would be in serious trouble anyway. And as far as that human contact goes, unless that bear really does something outrageous, I can't foresee anyone shooting it at all from a law enforcement side. I believe in conversations that I've had with the division's wildlife director, Jason Zimmer, the goal would be to simply leave the bear to itself at the present time. If it does become a nuisance and it is a threat to itself and or people, they would bring in a skilled team from the state level and hopefully be able to tranquilize it before anything happened, that it would have to be dispatched totally.
And as to whether the bear might stick around?
It could very well happen, but I have a huge doubt because they do breed, and their breeding time is coming up. Males will tend to travel in 120 square miles. So if this bear is the same that was in Rochester, Mass., the 120 square miles is nothing for it to be all of Cape Cod. And it could shoot back. And I think yesterday's observations really play that this guy can travel.
Absolutely.
He covered some ground yesterday. When Tuesday night, when I saw and got the reports that he was on 6A in the 132 area, I figured he'd make it to Yarmouth on Thursday, Friday. I would have never suspected he would have made it yesterday.
Many might be curious and interested in spotting the bear or trying to take a photo, but Charlie warns that just might not be a good idea.
That's correct, but not just themselves. Individuals that attempt to do this, it could be if there's other people in the area just innocently standing by. Potentially the bear sees someone snapping pictures and goes to run and runs into another individual. And that's where the problem comes in of trying to chase it. I just don't think it's worth the efforts to do that. If someone is able to see the bear in the tree from inside the house and they take a picture from that distance, I wouldn't have any problems with it, nor would the bear at that point. But no one should approach this bear and if it's in a tree and go underneath the tree and try to get a picture.
So as to how long the bear will be here and just what he'll do while on Cape Cod is unknown, but for now, it's certainly giving Cape Codders and visitors something to talk about. With Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Colvin.